This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hope you've had a great day. What a beautiful day in South Carolina today. Temperature down a little bit, humidity down a little bit. Felt good out there. Good day to go practice some football, maybe take a swim, maybe drop a line in the lake, play some golf, go for a walk. Best yet, tune in to Sports Talk for the next 2 hours, your two favorite hours of the day, your best friends in sports right here, including yours truly and Chris Bergen and, oh yeah, Joshua Cohen back at our studios in Columbia. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Make sure you get that ticket for the Powerball or any of your scratch-off tickets. You'll never win the lottery if you don't participate in the lottery, but do so smartly, of course, and only, of course, if it fits your budget. So we tonight have come east after being west on the far end of the state. We've come east to the far eastern part of the state. We're at Charleston Southern University, home of the Buccaneers. Coach Gabe Gardenia going into his second season. Looking forward to talking with him about the progress of his program, and they are making progress. He is a heck of a coach. He's a great talker, a lot of enthusiasm. This is what day is this? This is Wednesday. So yesterday was Bloody Tuesday, right? That's what he told us last year. Tuesdays are Bloody Tuesdays around here. So we missed Bloody Tuesday. I have to ask him about that. But I tell you what, they have a very impressive schedule. If you're a Bucs fan, I mean, you open up with the Citadel, something they're calling the Low Country Boil Bowl. And they're making a big deal about that. They've got a nice trophy. I got to look at the trophy, a picture of the trophy, which has not been made public yet. So I know what the trophy looks like. Now, you know, if you bribe me with some Low Country Boil, I might tell you what it looks like. But
please tell me it's a crock pot with some shrimp coming out of the side.
Well, you're close. It is, you know, it's got the pot that you have to use, one of those big pots, not a crock pot. You don't make Low Country Boil in a crock pot. You make Low Country Boil in one of those big pots that you put on the fire, right? So that's part of it, and they're going to put it out publicly here in the near future. But they're doing a big deal with this game between the Citadel. Of course, it's a big rivalry game for them. They're doing a public service. I think they visited hospitals, sort of like a bowl game in and of itself. Then they're going to play Furman up in Greenville. And by the way, the Bucs are hosting the Bulldogs, and they're going to go play Furman. So how about that for opening your season? Citadel and Furman, and then Richmond up in Richmond, Virginia. Then they go to Tennessee State, and then Western Illinois comes to Buccaneer Field. Then they go up to Missouri to play Lindenwood, and then Southeast Missouri State comes to Charleston. They'll play Tennessee Tech. They'll play Gardner-Webb. Then they'll play UT Martin and Eastern Illinois. And, of course, their traditional season ender this year will be at Florida State on November 23rd. Yes. Now, keep in mind,
overlook the fact that not only are they playing for the Low Country Boil Trophy against the Citadel, they also have the inaugural North-South Barbecue Brawl bowl game with Gardner-Webb. And I'll be fascinated to hear from Coach about how the merger with the OVC went, because let's face it, the Big South in terms of football was almost dead. I mean, you look at the teams that were in the Big South 10 years ago, virtually every single one of them is gone.
Yeah.
And so they had to do something, and I'll be fascinated to hear how that worked last year and how much they like this merger, because it basically saved Big South football.
Well, I'll tell you what, in its day, the Big South had some good football.
No doubt.
And it was a good place for schools in our state, because you had Charleston Southern, you had Coastal Carolina, you had Presbyterian in it, and they played good football, and you had good coaches at that time. at those three schools, along with the other schools in the Big South. But you're right, this merger with the OVC, this is why you're hearing some strange names, not from around here, sort of like the schedule Presbyterian plays to some degree, not as national as Presbyterian, because they don't have to be, but that's why they've got the UT Martins and the Eastern Illinois and the Southeast Missouri states coming in. So looking forward to talking more with the Bucs at 6:05 and hearing what they have to say, coming off a 4-7 season of a year ago, 2-4 in conference play. So we'll talk with Coach about that coming up in a little bit. Also, today, Clemson AD Graham Neff had about an hour session with the media in the upstate. It was sort of a state of the state of Clemson athletics. And, like a president presiding over a meeting of Congress and talking about the State of the Union, I think Graham Neff pronounced the state of Clemson athletics as being just fine under his watch. And you think about this past season and what they accomplished. A national championship in men's soccer, Elite Eight run in men's basketball, a run to a super regional in baseball, and a Gator Bowl victory in football. Who would have thought if you had talked about –
And don't forget, women's soccer got to the College Cup for the first time in program history.
Well, I forgot.
They could have won two national championships in soccer this past year.
So who would have thought that football would have been the weak link of all of that when you look at Clemson's expectations going into a season? Really, it was football that didn't carry its weight, right? I mean, Gator Bowl is not what the Tiger fans expect out of the football team. They did not expect the men's basketball team to make it to the Elite Eight and nearly to the Final Four. I'm not sure they expected the soccer team to go as far as they did, and I don't know that they expected a baseball team to make a super regional. But they did expect the football team to win the ACC and make the college football playoff, which it did not. But still, he feels very good about where the program is at this point, and he also realizes they're ever evolving in this new era, NIL and transfer portal, and he talks about all that, so we'll have a few minutes with him on that. And then coordinators from USC met with the media today, as they will every Wednesday during the football season, except during the off week. And we'll hear from Dowell Loggins tonight as he talks about the offense in great detail, gives us some really good insight about how he feels. A couple of things that stand out. Yes, he has seen Lenore Sellers have some bad moments on the practice field. He's not perfect.
You're kidding. He's not perfect. Wow.
He's not perfect. That's breaking news. It's breaking news. He's not perfect. But I tell you what, he said Rocket Sanders is back to the Rocket Sanders he knew when he was at Arkansas, and that means a pro. He said he put on some weight last year at Arkansas, and he had those injuries. He got a little heavy. He's healthy. The weight is off, and much like what Shane Beamer had to say, Rocket Sanders looks like a man back there carrying the football. So that's good news for South Carolina. I think they're going to have a respectable running game for the first time in Beamer's, they have not had a really respectable running game under Beamer. His first year, I think they averaged 116 a game. I'm just going off memory. His second year, that decreased to under 100, and I think last season they averaged about 83 rushing yards per game, if my memory is right. So I just know they have not had a productive running game to this point under Beamer. It's time they have a productive running game.
Yeah. Well, they haven't had a 1,000-yard back since Kevin Harris did it 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And you have to also factor in how porous the offensive line was, not just in run blocking, but also pass blocking when all of the negative sack yardage come off of your rushing yards. So that doesn't help. So you've got to clean that up, and I think they will. I think the offensive line will really do it. It should, as I mentioned a couple of weeks back, it's time for them to put up or shut up. Yep. They've got enough talent up there. They should be good on the offensive line. Therefore, Lenore Sellers shouldn't have to scramble out of the pocket every time he drops back to pass. And secondly, there should be some spaces and creases for Rocket Sanders to do his thing. And I think he should be a guy, much like I believe Phil Maffa will rush for over 1,000 yards. And I think Rocket Sanders should as well.
No question about it. And they need him to do that. They need him to take some of that pressure, as you mentioned, off of the offensive line and off of Sellers. If they get a decent running game going, as anybody knows, you get a good running game going, you don't have to rush for 220 yards a game, but if you can hit the 150-yard mark, you're going to have a chance to be pretty doggone good on offense. And I think Sellers is going to add a good bit of rushing yards to that. Like you mentioned, with his ability to avoid sacks and run around, that should save them a lot of yards, and that should add a pretty good number to their running attack.
Yeah, I agree, and they've got to be better. There are a couple of things we mentioned defensively. They've got to be better on third downs. They've got to pressure the quarterback better than they did last year. And offensively, they've got to protect the quarterback a whole lot better. And secondly, they've got to find a way to run the football. It seems simple, and it boils down to, Phil, lines of scrimmage. How often have we talked about the SEC as a lines of scrimmage league? And if you're not good on the offensive and defensive lines, you're not going to win ball games. And South Carolina was not very good on either side last year, and they went 5-7. They get better. Maybe that turns around to 7-5 this year, or 8-4.
Yeah. All right. Coming up also tonight is an SC Wild night here on Sports Talk. Major Billy Downer will join us from the Department of Natural Resources at 7:35. He's going to be out in Texas. He's at an event involving the Department of Natural Resources, those folks out in Texas. But he's well prepared and ready to join us for tonight's show. He's going to be talking more about something he touched on a couple of weeks ago. We'll pick back up on that. Going to be talking about deer tags again, and also the opening of dove season in South Carolina. This time of year brings us so much with college football and colleges going back to class and deer hunting season and dove season. There's so much going on around the state, and I'm glad that Coach Downer, or Major Downer, I should call him Coach Downer, glad that Major Downer can join us again tonight at 7:35 to talk all about that from where he sits. Okay, so our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery Lucky Number. Yes, sir?
Interesting comments, because we won't have time to hear them all, because Graham Neff talked for, almost an hour today, so you can listen to all of it up at sportstalksc.com. His opening segment, he actually got he was joking about trying to stay underneath what Dabo would normally have in an opening statement. He didn't come close. I think it was about 13 minutes. But some of the things that he said I thought were fascinating, given where Clemson is right now in terms of trying to get out of the Atlantic Coast Conference because they perceive they're lacking revenue. Well, and he was asked and talked about the concept of jersey patches and sponsorship logos at Memorial Stadium, and it seemed like he's not a big fan of that. Actually said they want to maximize revenue and naming rights in a thoughtful way. So he doesn't want to get rid of, obviously he doesn't want to have like AT&T Memorial Stadium, that type of thing, I don't think. And I get that part. But he was also, I guess, asked.
How about Sports Talk Memorial Stadium? Huh? How about
that would be great.
Phil, Chris, Josh, and Smitty, and let's throw Rick Sanford in there. Oh, Rick would love that. How about Rick Sanford, I'm sure, and the rest of y'all Memorial Stadium at Clemson?
The rest of y'all Memorial Stadium.
But here's
I
the
think
thing.
you got to leave that alone.
Dr. Rick could write the check, and we can just put our names on there with him.
But he also talked about not serving alcohol at ball games. Clemson being one of the few programs, a few universities around the country that does not serve alcoholic beverages at universities and at athletic events, and I certainly respect their opinion on that. But you have to ask yourself, in the realistic world where everything is about money and revenue, and certainly Clemson's in the middle of a fight to get more revenue from another league, can they afford to continue to hold that stance? I just thought some of the stuff he said today was fascinating, having nothing to do with the Atlantic Coast Conference and the lawsuit, because he really didn't comment on that, as we all knew he couldn't.
Yeah, well, you're right. He couldn't go anywhere near that because it's in litigation, as they always say. So yeah, they're not going to touch that. But you're right. At some point in time, I think they'll be pressured into selling alcohol to the fans because it's just too much. That's like $2-3 million revenue stream, even more than that. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Now, a few notes from him, and we're going to hear from him in a little bit, but a few notes from him as tweeted out by Chapel Fowler of the State. He said that Neff called it a record-setting year in athletics in terms of fundraising and attendance. He said the Tigers had a net attendance of over 1 million fans at their venues and raised $79 million for athletics through IPTAY. And he said that they could not be more aligned, from him to the president to the board, in terms of pushing forward with Clemson's athletic future. Obviously, writing here that includes the active lawsuit against the ACC with the grant of rights. So everybody at Clemson always seems to be on the same page, and that appears to be the case here. He said that they are launching something called Clemson Ventures to focus on, quote, maximizing revenue generation strategies for the athletic department. Neff said revenue generation, quote, has never been important, end quote, with NIL, house settlement, etc. Maybe he left out the word more. Should have been maybe more important.
Yes, got to be, because it's extremely important. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I think he left out the word more there, but that's okay. He said he anticipates Clemson offering the max of 35 scholarships in baseball and also offering the max after meeting with Dabo Swinney. He said they talked for 2.5 hours and offering the max 105 scholarships for the football program. Would not comment on the ACC deal, of course, as you mentioned. And those are some of the highlights of what he had to say. The concept of jersey patches, sponsor logos, something they'll continue to monitor. But he said, they want to keep Clemson, but they want to maximize revenue. And, but let's face it.
Kind of a catch-22, isn't it?
Well, the AD, the head coach, football, no doubt they're under pressure to win big, because how long will Clemson fans continue to support in a big way a 9 or 10 win team that does not make the playoffs, because they're used to that. If you're not used to going to the playoffs every year as they were, and maybe they need to drop the bar down a little bit at Clemson. Nobody's thought about that, but should the bar be lowered at Clemson now, considering the most recent past, or should the bar remain high, playoffs, or it's a disappointing season? How should they look at that?
I don't think you should drop the bar. I think everybody should believe, and Clemson's got the knowledge and the history to believe that they should be in the playoffs. I think especially now with the expanded playoffs, you almost have to if you're a place like Clemson, who's won a pair of national championships under Dabo. They've been to the playoffs. They know how to get there. They know what it takes. They've got to assume that they're going to get back there. That should be their standard. And when they fail, it should be a disappointing year for them. But it's fascinating. You talked about football sort of being the downtrodden of the athletic teams, with soccer winning a national title and the men's basketball team making the playoffs, if you will, and all the way to the Elite Eight, and baseball going to a super regional at Club DKS. I'm thinking for the most part, those may have been where the boost in attendance came. Men's basketball, men's soccer, and also at baseball.
I'd say the one sport that they've got to well, obviously there's more than one sport, but, in today's world, you got to have a good women's basketball program going now. Amanda Butler had it for a brief time. She got them to one tournament, I believe. But outside of that, they don't make a big impact. And, again, they're up against the big monster, if you care about women's basketball. They're up against the big monster in the country right now in South Carolina. How can Clemson expect to compete against South Carolina in women's basketball? At a high level.
They can't, Phil. They can't right now. Sean Poppy's his concern has got to be trying to find a way, first off, to be competitive in the ACC, and then trying to win an ACC title. Then you worry about dealing with South Carolina, because right now, that's a monster program that they can't contend with. They've lost games the last couple of years by 50 and 60 points. It's not even competitive. Dawn's team doesn't even break a sweat when they face Clemson. Yeah. That's where they are. That's the reality of the situation. So Coach Poppy really, in his first year, he can't worry about the Gamecocks because they're light years behind them. He's got to worry about trying to get competitive first off in the ACC and then go from there.
All right, update the poll question of the week. The numbers there. Our poll question of the week brought to you by Larry Lucas State Farm Insurance in Columbia. Make sure you give Larry a phone call when you're looking around for the best deals and best coverage in insurance. 803-799-1998 is that number. Clemson focused on Georgia. Based on what you've heard, read, seen, what's your confidence level for a Tiger win? 309 votes, and the 0%ers continue to carry the day at 59.5%. 0% confidence. 50% confidence at 31.4%. 75% believe the Tigers, 4.9%, and 100% certain Clemson will win. That's coming in at 4.2%. You still got some time to vote in the poll question of the week. Though I can't figure out here on X, because we run our we run our poll through X, and it says we have 2 days left. But I'm telling you, when you get to Friday, when you should be able to vote still, because it still says you have time, it won't let you. It won't accept the vote. Anybody have an idea as to why that's the case?
Well, I know that you as if you're writing from our X account, you can't obviously click the button. Now, last week when I was on there, I tried to submit one on Friday and it worked. So
no, it didn't. No, it didn't. It didn't change. It didn't change the number of votes because I checked. Your vote did not count, young man. Are you 18 yet? Can I see? Can I see some ID? I need to see ID before you can vote.
I was trying so that I could show you that it was going to work,
but it didn't.
Well, that's neither here
voter
nor there.
fraud. That is a fascinating topic we could get into. Maybe we should take mail-in ballots, Phil.
What I am telling you, Josh, is that when you voted, I checked the number of how many votes had been received, and that never changed. So I'm telling you, it did not go in. So just so you know that. All right, phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you Braves fans. More heartening news today. Left-hander A.J. Minter had left hip surgery, and he'll miss the rest of the season. So he's been dealing with that hip problem.
Unreal.
And 384 relief appearances for him, third all-time. Boy, I tell you what, I feel for the Braves because they're a mass unit.
But don't count them out, Phil.
Mass unit.
They beat the Phillies last night 3-1, and Marcell Ozuna is having a Triple Crown type season. He's sitting, I think, first in batting average, first in RBIs, and second in home runs in the National League. I mean, I don't know how they're doing it. It is duct tape and baling wire, but they're going to find a way. I'm convinced more than ever now, especially after last night's win over the Phillies. They're going to make the playoffs. It defies logic, but they're going to find a way. There's something about that team and that tradition in Atlanta. They just know how to win when it matters in August and September, and they're going to find a way to get in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, look, Snitker does a great job. I think Snitker does a great job in the dugout in the clubhouse of holding that team together, and you can question some things maybe on the field, but holding that team together is, Now, my guys, like the Yankees, blew another, was it a blown save? They were 3-3, had to go extra innings with Cleveland, 3-3, and gave up 6 runs in the 12th out of their bullpen. Gave up 6 runs in the 12th. Got beat. I think the final score was 9-5. They came back and scored 2 after giving up 6. So, Yankees having their struggles right now as well. Let's go to Gamecock Larry before we hit the bottom of the hour break. And then Graham Neff coming up and more. Gamecock Larry, how are you? I'm sure you were interested about the state of the Clemson program this evening.
How in the world can Clemson and the ACC compete with the Gamecocks and the SEC? Graham Neff has just failed to go ahead, drop this suit, whatever you call it, he's suing somebody. Go ahead and close it out, because as long as there's an ACC, Clemson is going to be in the ACC. So I listen to all this Clemson talk. I ain't going to say nothing else about the Gamecocks. 12-0 till we lose one. And I guarantee you, 0 chance for Clemson beating Georgia. Georgia will beat them by 23 points, 1-2. That's all I got to say. Love all y'all. And Mr. Field, say something good about the Gamecocks. We got 3 quarterbacks that play on the start for Clemson. Go Gamecocks.
Well, you know what they say, Larry. One of the great sayings of football, if you have 3 quarterbacks, you really got none.
And you know Clemson's going for their 3rd straight win over an SEC team?
Is that a fact?
It just occurred to me today when I was working on a story.
You just say the word and I run through. 2 texts, no reply. That's when I knew.
We are back on Sports Talk on this Wednesday night. Great to have you with us across the state. We're at Charleston Southern. Buccaneers will be with us a little bit after 7 o'clock. Looking forward to visiting with them. Tomorrow night, we'll be at the Citadel. Friday night at Coastal Carolina. While we're down here at the beach, going to go by and see our good buddy, Jimmy Smith at James Smith Real Estate. His phone number is 843-237-4246, online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. Looking for a place to get away to? This is the place. Along the coast, let Jimmy find a great location for you. Let him find a house. Let him find a condo for you to rent or buy if you want to make it a lifetime decision. Again, Jimmy Smith at James Smith Real Estate, 843-237-4246, online at pauliesvacationrentals.com. All right, comments from Graham Neff coming up in just a moment, but Clemson and the fans, they're getting ready to go to Atlanta next week. I imagine some fans will get there early in the week just to kind of get a feel for how everything is going to play out and then get ready for that game at noon on Saturday. And, of course, there's going to be a lot of things to do leading up to the game. Let's welcome in Ben Bounds, who is with Follywood Productions, and he is going to tell us about a big event on Friday night for the Clemson fans and you Bulldog fans as well to come out to and get ready for the game. Ben, it's great to have you with us. How are you?
Hey, Phil, thanks for having me. Doing well. How about you?
Man, we're doing fantastic. Looking forward to next week. Give us the lowdown here on Fan Fest, which runs on Friday afternoon, Friday night from 3 to 11. What do you guys have lined up?
Yes, sir. So we're going to open the doors at 3 o'clock. Live music starts at 4 p.m. We're going to be at West Side Motor Lounge. It's in Midtown Atlanta. It is less than a mile from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's like 0.8 miles from the stadium. Huge venue with a big stage. The venue holds about 1,500 people. Really, really cool place. It's a multi-purpose venue. There's multiple bars. There's rooms for vendors and kids. And the show, we have a very low ticket price. It's only $20. It's all ages. You can bring the kids. Children 12 and under get in free. So we're really hoping to get a bunch of young Clemson and Georgia families there. We're going to get it kicked off at 4 o'clock with the Pink Stones from Athens, made up of a bunch of UGA alums. And then our headliner actually plays in the middle. We've got fan favorite Jupiter Coyote, a band that has been playing in Athens and Clemson for 30 years, so hugely popular with both fan bases. And then to close out the show, we have the biggest up-and-coming band out of Clemson, South Carolina, Dazer. And so these guys are a straight-up rock band, kind of hearkening back to a late 80s, early 90s rock sound. Really excited to have them on board. We've got the Classic City Collective is going to come in between the Pink Stones set and the Jupiter Coyote set and give an update on the Georgia NIL initiative and how the Georgia fans can contribute back to that. We're expecting to have some former Clemson and Georgia football players there. And we're still waiting to hear back from some other organizations at the two universities on who else is coming to make some announcements about different things that are happening at both universities. We've got some feelers out. We feel pretty good about that. This event started last year. Our initial or inaugural Fan Fest was actually in Columbia, South Carolina last year, the Friday night before the South Carolina-Mississippi State game. And that event was at Steel Hands Brewing, and we ended up having 2,200 people there for that event last year. So we feel good about this one. It is a road game for both teams. But we know that a lot of people are coming into town. We're over 400 RSVPs already for the event, so we are expecting a really, really lively crowd. And we want everybody to come, show up early, show out, get loud with us, wear your colors. We're going to be chanting the fight songs in between band sets, and we're going to have some Georgia and Clemson-inspired artwork there. And there's food and drink specials all night, so we wanted to put on an event that would be affordable for the Georgia and Clemson fans that are traveling, because we know how expensive flights and gas and hotel rooms and game tickets and all that can be. Mm-hmm. So we really wanted to do something that was all ages, that was very affordable, and, that was fun for everybody.
Well, it sounds like it, and the price is right. And so you're just alerting me to something I didn't realize. This is just not a Clemson-centric operation, this is something that you did, like you said, last year in Columbia, this one in Atlanta. So this is something you kind of foresee taking around maybe the Southeast and doing prior to some of the big games in that part of the country?
We have a meeting in September with a potential partner to take it to possibly do 2 or 3 more events this season. Probably, I don't know that it'll be that many, but I do think we're going to do at least 1 more this season, maybe 2. But the meeting that we're going to have in September will be about adding more dates and taking it to more college towns in 2025. It'll be primarily SEC and ACC college towns in the Southeast. But we have some potential sponsors and partners that are very interested. They like the concept. They love the numbers that we did in Columbia last year. They really like the plan that we have for Atlanta this year. And so we're looking around at different markets, hoping to work with some different universities and different venues and fan bases. And, the sky's the limit for this event. It was so well received last year, and we're getting such a great feedback on it this year that we're really excited.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you finding that the schools are very interested in working with you? Because as you mentioned, you're going to have an NIL presentation from the Georgia side of things and something from Clemson. They see this as an opportunity to be connecting right with their fans on site?
Yes, sir. So last year was crazy. We had in Columbia, Mississippi State brought their alumni association. They set up a huge booth, and they brought their NIL director, and they spoke after the first band. And then University of South Carolina, the Gamecocks sent Chance Miller, who was the associate AD under Ray Tanner. He's now at Coastal Carolina. And he brought Jeremy Smith from the Garnet Trust, and they spoke for about 10 minutes in between the bands. That was very well received. And then right before the headliner took the stage, the Mississippi State cheerleading squad and mascots came out and did a full presentation that lasted about 7 or 8 minutes. Really got the visitor crowd fired up. And look, Mississippi State had not played at South Carolina in 10 years when that game happened last year. And they had over 600 fans just at this event. South Carolina, of course, had about 15 or 1,600 fans at the event. So it was very, but it was in Columbia. So it was very South Carolina-centric. We're expecting more of a 50-50 crowd in Atlanta. And, the reason we do it the night before the game is we want to bring the two fan bases together before the gloves come off and things get, crazy on game day. We want the fans to have a chance to interact. Obviously, with the proximity that Clemson and Athens share, only being, an hour and a half apart or whatever, we felt like these two fan bases have there's a lot of friendships and probably family relationships between the two fan bases. And so we really wanted to do something to bring those fan bases together and let them hang out, share some camaraderie the night before the game.
What a great concept. So are tickets, you said RSVPs, you've got that going on. How can what's the best way for somebody to get information, RSVP, get their tickets in advance?
So they will need to go find Follywood Productions on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter X. The ticket link is in the bio for the Follywood Productions site on all 4 of those platforms. And then FanFest actually has its own page on Instagram, on Follywood FanFest, and the ticket link is there as well. Or you can go to the Westside Motor Lounge website, and they have it posted there as well. We've had tons of Clemson and UGA accounts that are primarily sports accounts sharing the event. So if you're on Twitter X, let me tell you what, it won't be hard to find us. I want to say we've had something like 20,000 reshares of the event info just in the last 6 or 7 days. So there's a lot of momentum building there, and it's starting to catch fire on the other social media platforms. I think we're about to hit 300 RSVPs on LinkedIn, which is crazy. So our ticket sales really started coming in last weekend, and they're going up every day. So like I said, we're expecting a really big crowd and a very kind of a raucous crowd. We're expecting a lot of camaraderie, and like I said, come wear your gear, be ready to sing the fight song, and we hope to see everybody in Atlanta next Friday.
Hey, sounds like a great plan and a great time for Tigers and Bulldogs alike. Know it's going to go great, and we appreciate you being with us tonight.
Before we cut Ben loose, Ben, I'm a child of the 70s and 80s. I love hair band, metal music, the whole 9 yards. When you talked about Dazer, and I look at their influences, and they're talking about guys like Van Halen and Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin, can you just let those guys play for 8 hours? Let them go for 9, let them go for 3 to 11? I mean, they'll be exciting, I'm sure.
Hey, I tell you what, if we decide to do this in Clemson next season, be on the lookout. We're probably going to bring Dazer back and probably give them more time. They've got 2 hours on the back end of the show. So you're going to get the cool thing about it is all three bands are playing a full show like you would see at a venue. The Pink Stones are playing 90 minutes, Jupiter Coyote's playing 2 hours, and then Dazer's playing 2 hours. So it is going to be a long event and lots of music, and you're really going to get a feel for all three bands because they're going to get to do their full show. It's not an abbreviated, 40-minute set or anything like you would get at a festival. These guys are all going to come out. They're all going to bring their A game. The Pink Stones are one of the most popular up-and-coming bands out of Athens. They tour nationwide. Obviously, Jupiter Coyote sold over 3 million records and has been touring for 30 years. They are hugely popular within both fan bases. And like I said, Dazer's the hottest thing coming out of the upstate right now, and they are absolutely on fire. And if you are a fan of, Led Zeppelin, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, that kind of music, that kind of in-your-face rock and roll, then you are going to absolutely love them.
Have you ever heard of a band from Athens called Doug Clark and the Hot Nuts?
I have not, but
Okay.
They sound like a good time.
Look them up. I'm not even sure they're still alive, but I can remember going to Athens as a high school student to a function there, and they were like the hot band at the time. Doug Clark and the Hot Nuts. See if you can book those guys if they're still alive. I'm not sure.
I'm going to have to call my friend David Barbie over at the Music Business School over at UGA and get him to tell. He's the guy that tells me about all the obscure Athens bands.
He will know
I'm
about
just glad
Doug
he didn't
Clark
ask
and the
you,
Hot
Ben.
Nuts.
Have you heard of a band from Athens called REM? I was going to have to have a long talk with Phil.
It's funny.
Long talk with Phil.
Well, it's funny. 12 or 13 years ago, I was in Athens to see Shovels and Rose. Right when they were about to hit it big, they were playing at the 40 Watt. They were actually the opener, which is crazy that they were opening for another band in a bar that small. But not that it's a small bar, but anyway, I was there, and I just gotten there. I was hanging out with Carrie Ann and Michael from Shovels and Rose in the backstage, and I went to get my first beer. And while I was sitting in line, I could feel somebody kind of on my back, like kind of bumped into me because it was packed in there. And I turned around, and it was Michael Stipe from REM. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I said hello, and man, I walked over to the side stage to get kind of a good spot where I could watch the bands. And sure enough, I look over to my right, and I see Mike Mills from REM and Dave Schools from Widespread Panic standing over there just kind of bobbing their heads. And I was like, this is going to be an awesome show. What a cool venue, and what a great night to be there to see all those kind of guys. And within less than a year, Shovels and Rope was nationwide and selling out tours and all, so that was one of those nights I'll never forget because it was just, there was so much happening. And, you kind of felt like something big was about to go down, and it did. And it was kind of their coming out party in Athens, and, they're Charleston homegrown, and they've done an amazing job. And so that's one of my favorite stories to tell about Athens.
Well, I'll tell you now, I've heard of Hootie and the Blowfish, but you have an incredible amount of knowledge about the music scene and these bands. Is this something you kind of do like as a hobby, or is this, how did you get so deep into this?
I got into the music business back in 2003 when I was 23, straight out of college. And that was back in Mississippi, started at Mississippi State, ended up at Ole Miss, got into the music business in my early 20s, went on tour with a Southern rock band. And then from there, I started booking concerts and festivals and moved to South Carolina 16 years ago. And I ran all the festivals out on Folly Beach for about 7 or 8 years. And I've really kind of cut my teeth in that industry. So, I feel like I'm probably kind of a nerd about, live bands, especially from the Southeast. I'm a big Southern rock, jam band, bluegrass and blues and outlaw country guy. So if it's in one of those genres and it's from the Southeast, especially from a college town in the Southeast, then I'm probably going to be pretty familiar with their music.
Fantastic. Well,
Great
check out
stuff.
Doug Clark and the Hot Nuts. I think you'll find them to be right up your alley as far as you're just going to listen to their
I'm
music.
about to cook some dinner, and I'm gonna cook some dinner and try to find them on Spotify.
Let me know what you find, okay?
You got it.
Hey, Ben, thank you, man. We'll talk again.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Phil.
See you
y'all
now.
soon.
Take care. Okay, Ben Bounds, Follywood Productions. Clemson fans, Georgia fans, sounds like they got a big time plan for the folks there in Atlanta there, Chris.
That is going to be an outstanding show. I think if I were going to the game, I'd make sure I have some time to go enjoy the pregame, if you will, on Friday.
Sounds fun. I won't be there. A little bit out of my league, but I'm sure that they'll have a big crowd and have a lot of fun with it. I didn't realize. So this sounds like something that they are planning to build and expand and kind of make it a thing around big games across the Southeast, if not the entire country.
I think it's a great idea. And what better way, and especially when you can get both sides of the coin, as he was pointing out, a little different from when they did it last year in Columbia, and it was sort of lopsided Carolina fans. But here, I mean, you're going to have Georgia and Clemson fans. I think they're going to have a blast. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. Thanks again to Ben Bounds for being with us. We're going to hit the break, and when we come back, we'll give you a few recruiting notes from overnight that we'll share with you. We'll hear from Clemson's AD. Well, maybe we won't get to that tonight, as a matter of fact. We're getting a little short on the old time front here, so we may have to save that, even though you can catch it all on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. It's all up there for you. We hit the highlights of it already for you. So we'll give you some recruiting when we come back from the break, and we are at Charleston Southern. The Bucks will be here at 7:05. Back after the break.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a Southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
Deep in the heart of racing country lies a track too tough to tame. The perfect setting for the late-season drama of the Southern 500.
Outside lane gets the launch.
One last chance to make a playoff push. One last chance to catch regular season racing.
All clear.
One last chance to plan a Labor Day weekend worth bragging about.
Southern 500, baby.
NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 31st and September 1st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Hi, this is Major Billy Downer, and coming up tonight at 7:30, it's another edition of SC Wild from the Department of Natural Resources on the Sports Talk Media Network.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
George Bryant here for Tsunami Bar Sports, and some say the fun is in the winning. I say the fun is in the training. And Tsunami Robbie, what do you say?
George, we all know you get more done when you're having fun. This technology is different, it's engaging, but it's also a lot of fun to use.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any Tsunami Bar order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
It is time tonight for the Sports Talk Recruiting Report brought to you by Seawells. All right, tomorrow's Thursday. That means the next day is Friday. 2 days to go this week for the daily luncheon buffet from 11 till 2. And what are we looking forward to?
Tomorrow it's sliced beef brisket, fried pork chops, and homemade chicken pot pie. And then Friday it's roast beef Friday with southern fried chicken and teriyaki glazed salmon.
You put so much excitement into that, Josh. That's why
I'm excited. You know, I'm going to be honest. I've never been to Seawell's for the daily luncheon buffet. But when I read it, I feel pumped and excited to go. Because from what I hear, it's the best food in Columbia.
Well, it is. Of course, you're not quite as excitable as Pat was, because Pat would get all excited over the gravy. Something about gravy with Pat.
It's all about the gravy is what he used to say.
Josh doesn't drool on the microphone, though, which is nice.
That is true. Kind of gross when you think about it. So get out for the daily luncheon buffet. Also, of course, you need catering. You just call Seawells, and they'll do the rest. They have been at it for nearly 80 years, and, of course, they are outstanding in what they do. Phone number 803-771-7385, SeawellsCateringSC.com. Still looking for Gamecock football parking? Call Seawells, but do it now. 803-771-7385, or email them at SeawellsCatering, SeawellsCatering@gmail.com. Just a few notes. South Carolina offered a defensive tackle last night, Braxton Kyle, 6'4", 306, Lawrenceville, Georgia. He's been committed to Rutgers. Texas and Georgia have also offered him recently. He also has offers from North Carolina, Texas Tech, Coastal Carolina, Middle Tennessee State, Georgia Southern, Appalachian State, Marshall, Georgia State, and others. He opened his season last Friday with a 4-tackle game, and for his career, he has totaled 79 tackles, 28 tackles for loss, and 15 sacks, according to Max Prep's stats. Basketball, USC women's coach Dawn Staley yesterday offered 5'9" Lauren Jacobs of Heathwood Hall. She also has offers from Clemson, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Mississippi State, Florida, Auburn, others. She'll be playing her 5th season with the Highlanders this season. Last season, she averaged 32 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists per game. In her career, she's averaged 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, according to Max Prep stats. There you go, the recruiting report for tonight here on Sports Talk. Obviously, recruiting a little bit slower this month as no one can travel. Players are focused on their own seasons. Coaches are focused on their seasons, so they're still making the contact and handing out the offers. Okay, Coach Gabe Gardenia with the Buccaneers. He is coming up next here at Charleston Southern. Back in a moment.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network across the state of South Carolina on this Wednesday night. Great to have you with us. Very busy first hour. We now turn our attention to the focus tonight. We are at Charleston Southern University, And it's time to talk about the Buccaneers. We welcome in Coach Gabe Gardenia to Sports Talk once again, and it is the old Alabama kicker. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to be seen. Glad you're here.
Yes, sir.
And excited to talk some football.
Absolutely. Does that fan bother you?
No. It's great. It actually
fan.
feels wonderful.
Yeah.
May make my shirt shudder here in the wind. But
now, for those watching on our stream, and Chris and Josh, y'all can see this.
Cool
Look
shirt.
at that shirt the coach is wearing. What do you call that?
Well, this is my Bucky Hawaiian shirt. We try to go Hawaiian shirts around here on Thursday, and my wife found this on Amazon. So second time donning this shirt.
Yeah.
So I figure let's for your viewers out there, who's the guy that wore the funky shirt with the Bucky head on?
That's you. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk to that Coach G guy.
So was yesterday a Bloody Tuesday?
No. Unfortunately, I wish it was, but we had our second scrimmage. I guess it was a Bloody Tuesday.
Yeah.
A lot of hitting. And
how was it?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. Proud of just all the work we've done, but to see it kind of come together live and in color out there, and see a lot of young players make some plays. It's very exciting. How do you
feel about the camp so far? What has sort of stood out to you in your mind?
I've told our players this and our AD and really anybody. David Shelton, we were talking about him earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most fun fall camp I think I've ever been a part of. Just the spirit of this team has been awesome. I think we got some talent and a lot of young guys that are really stepping up and making plays. And we've really come a long way, I think, in our team bonding and our togetherness as well. So. Maybe my shirt shut your camera down.
I don't know. It gets the reflection was too much for the camera to handle.
Right.
Yeah,
but it really has been. And even with the storm, we lost 4 days with the storm. So, but our guys have done a great job of just being resilient. And we've talked a lot of football, but we've talked a lot of life too. And we really are kind of glued together.
Yeah. The storm you mentioned cost you some days. Did everybody have to go their separate way, or did y'all hang out here in Charleston?
No, we housed them still because we didn't want them to travel.
Yeah.
But certainly couldn't get out there in the field, and some of our guys that live off campus, we basically just kind of sheltered in place, for lack of a better way to say it. So, we got our legs back. Got to watch a little bit of Olympics, and but quickly got back to work, and I think our guys were. They've responded the right way to it.
Who are a few guys to know about on the offense that will be the ones that have to carry this offense this season?
Well, I think Noah Jennings, sophomore receiver from Columbia. I think you're going to talk to him maybe later tonight. He's really, I think, a special player, special person. Really like him. Ronnie Hayes, Andrew Threet up front on the O-line. Kind of got our most experience coming back with those two guys. Got two quarterbacks right now, Rob McCoy, Zoltan Osborne coming off an injury. We'll see. We're going to play those cards real close to the vest, Phil, you know what I'm saying? See what happens there. But they've both been productive.
Does Zoltan still have the hair?
Oh, yeah, I call him the lion, because he's like a mane out there. So I tell him all that. I said, never cut your hair. It's your signature,
Yeah.
So they're both doing really well. And then I think we got a bunch of backs that they're all sophomores. Tay Isom, Isaiah Gordon, Tyson Greenwood had a great night last night. And then Rod Hawkins is kind of our elder statesman, but just a bunch of guys that are young. And, when you're young, you don't really know that maybe, how confident you should or should not be, but we are full of youthful exuberance and confidence, swagger. Ready to build on what we did last year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about building on that. Average 16 points per game, so I know you want to take that up, at least double that if you can. Have you changed up anything with the offensive philosophy or some of the plays or just anything different, or is it just players and continuing to develop them and bring them along in the offense?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, anytime you only score 16 points a game, you gotta look at yourself pretty hard. Kind of, hey, is this personnel? Yes, it's a little bit of personnel. Is this what we're doing? Absolutely, it's a little bit of what we're doing. And so, showing some humility there to say, hey, let's do some things in a different way, but also with different people. I mean, when I got the job here or I guess the best way to describe it is this. When we walk out there on the field on August 31st, we will not start one player on offense that we had or inherited here a year and a half ago.
Really?
It's a total remake of that side of the ball, the roster. And so it's good. We're young, We're young. I really like our receivers. We got a transfer or two, but they're all freshmen, sophomores that are maybe a little green, but man, they're talented.
Yeah. Flip over to the defensive side, where last year you kind of hung in there, 29 points per game. I guess you want to cut that down, obviously, but I guess the offense maybe left them out there a little longer than you would have liked. Do you expect with an improved offense that you'll play less defense?
Yeah, we've been kind of, this theme we've been taking with our team is a couple of different things, is to embrace defense. We need to play better on both sides of the ball.
I like that. Defense.
Yeah. And so
Did you come up with that? Did you come up with that?
No, of course not. I'm saying I got that from a Division II guy in 2012. But I've never used it as something with my teams.
Yeah.
But it really seemed to fit this team.
Yeah.
And so we've really, if we can play better on offense, well, naturally we'll play less plays and we'll be better on defense, right? We won't see as many snaps. We've had some wars out there in practice, and after every team period, we just come together, we just shake it up, and we tell each other good job. And the best moment I can tell you is this: we threw a pick the other day in practice, and we blow the whistle or whatever. One of our quarterbacks, he goes over there and daps up the DB and says, "Hey, you just made me better." And so that's what we're looking for. That's the synergy that we need here at CSU to play well and to beat people. We can't do it with one side of the ball. We got to do it with all three phases. And so I'm excited. Defensively, I think we'll be better. We're more experienced. We're deeper. We just weren't a very deep team. Period. When we got banged up, it really showed. So I hope we can roll 11 or 12 D linemen. Come first game of the season.
So where do you think a strength of the defense will be?
It's our D-line. We're just older there. That's the oldest group on our team. They're the ones with the juniors and seniors. And I think we can roll, 12 guys. And we got some freshmen and a transfer or two that have come in and have been impactful. And so it's been fun to watch that group gel. They're really close. They've seen a lot of snaps, played a lot of games, and hopefully they can make our secondary a little bit better by just getting the quarterback a little quicker.
Do you need, at this stage in year two and looking forward, do you need to rely on transfers? Do you hit the portal pretty hard?
I don't know that really works here for football. Maybe it works for other sports here, but I think we have a blend. We really try to grow them up. Most of our guys, probably 90% are guys that we've signed out of high school, and we really try to love on and develop and make better. And we've sprinkled some transfers in, but it's for us, it's all about making a guy's situation better. So those mostly been Division II guys or NAIA guys coming up. Man, they've done a good job, though, of just, they've engrafted themselves. And our players have engrafted them into our team and just showing them the right kind of energy, the work ethic, and just love, So I think we're looking for a fit, and I think that's what works for us.
Let's talk about the Low Country Boil Bowl. Hard to say, but what a great idea. And, man, it's fantastic that you guys and Citadel were able to get together and put this together, and hopefully it's going to be an annual thing.
Yeah, we definitely. I've been on record a couple times. I'd sign a 20-year deal to play them home and home every year. It's just the rivalries in college football are one of the special things.
Sure.
And so to have two schools that are 17 miles apart, and it's almost criminal not to play every year, right? So this will be, I think, our 14th meeting.
Tight series.
Yeah, it's been back and forth. I think it's like they have 7, we have 6, or something like that. But I got to give Coach Drayton credit. He called me and he said, "Hey, you want to play for something?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes." I mean, he didn't have to get the question out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's put something out there, and so we just started kicking back and forth ideas and going back and forth. And I like to eat, so. We talked about Battle of the Bridge or Battle I-26 or something like that.
Yeah.
I said, what about we already played the barbecue bowl? What about Low Country Boil Bowl? That's kind of local. Maybe
absolutely
help the tailgating atmosphere. Around the game, and so it was we got approved or whatever, and now we got something to play for. Let's get a trophy.
I've seen the picture of the trophy, and I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
I mean, you like a trophy that makes a statement about what you're playing for, and that's it. This trophy will say it all.
Yeah, and we can, you get to keep it if you win, and
is it going to go? Is it going to travel? The trophy?
Absolutely.
I mean, whoever wins,
if you win, you keep it, right? So. It's obviously to be on the ground floor of anything is nice and fun and exciting and it's new, but I think the rivalry has already been established, and so now to put a name with it and it helps our fans, it helps their fans, put a little bragging rights on the line, it's I think it's a win-win for both schools.
Yeah, your place will be packed, no question about it when you play that game. Last thing, we'll let you go. We got players standing by, but the OVC schedule arrangement and playing some of these teams that aren't nearby here, you're going to do some traveling, and they're going to do some traveling. But how do you like some of the games you're going to be playing?
Well, I think it's necessary. We have to have for strength in our league and or strength of our program to be in the league, and the OVC's got a great reputation. We get to get on a plane 4 times. That's great for our players. I like it. I mean, it feels like you're playing in the SEC or ACC. You know what I'm saying, or the Sun Belt even. Yeah. Hey, we got to go get on a plane. Yeah. We certainly wish some of the games were closer, right? And that's why we like to. We got Furman week 2, and anybody. We'd love to play Wofford or anybody here in state just to, keep the local rivalries going, right? But it's a tough league. I mean, UT Martin has won it or shared it 2 years in a row. Gardner-Webb obviously won it last year outright, and so it is no joke. Maybe the visiting crowds aren't that big because people got to travel a long way. But Tennessee State brought their whole doggone band. That's a pretty special deal right there. So it's got some unique things to it. And we get to go play in the Titans Stadium this year, which will be great for our players. And we actually play in Charleston, Illinois, if you can believe that, over there in eastern Illinois. So 2 teams from Charleston in different states.
Just remind them where the original Charleston is.
Yeah, ours is a little nicer than theirs.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So
as long as you don't get stuck in Charleston, West Virginia.
Well, it's that could be could be worse, I guess. But it's exciting, for us to be in such a good league and that has national notoriety. It's had draft picks. Had a kid picked in the 4th round last year from SEMO, so. That's good stuff.
Yeah. We wish you the best of luck. Well, and, feel free to, send the Sports Talk crew shirts that have the Buccaneers.
Yeah, we can get your Sports Talk logos on here or something,
You're singing our song. We love that,
Send
man.
me some sizes.
We love that.
That's
We're going to post your picture so everybody will see it.
There you go. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Great seeing you.
Hey,
good luck to you this season.
Here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Coach Gabe Gardenia from Charleston Southern, and we're going to have a couple of players coming up here in just a moment and chat more about the Bucs. We've got Noah Jennings, wide receiver, and Devontae Turner, defensive tackle. He's big. I saw him. He's from Canada, too. Be back in a moment. Okay, we continue here at Charleston Southern. We just finished up with Coach Gardenia. Now we're going to be joined by 2 of the outstanding players for the Buccaneers, wide receiver Noah Jennings, who's from Westwood High School outside of Columbia over in the Blythewood area, and Devontae Turner, defensive tackle, who's from nearby Windsor, Ontario, Canada.
Yes, sir.
Great to have you guys with us. What brought you down to Charleston Southern from Canada?
I went to JUCO in Kansas, and then this was my only offer coming out of JUCO, so
you're here.
Yep.
Have you found things here?
I love it. The hot weather. I don't have to deal with the snow anymore, and I like it.
Yeah. Let's talk about the defense since we've got you on the mic here. Go ahead and fill us in on it. In fact, Coach mentioned the defensive line is what he thinks will be one of the strengths of the defense.
Yeah. Second year with this coaching staff, and a lot of things are just moving a lot quicker. We feel a lot further than we have been in the last year with just knowing the plays, knowing what they want from us. And, of course, the defensive line, we got an old group. We got a lot of young DBs too, but they're learning fast, and I think they're going to show out this year.
So in Canada, how did you pick up football?
I mean, we still have football. At a young age, we still play American football.
Well, I know the CFL and all that.
Yeah.
But, like, hockey wasn't your thing? Or?
No.
No, huh?
I like football.
All right. Noah, this offense needs to take it a notch or 2 up over last year. Coach was talking about that. How do you think you guys have looked in camp with your offense?
We've been looking good, actually. We look a lot better than last year, I can definitely say. Speaking specifically from the wide receiver group, we've definitely upgraded a lot in a whole bunch of aspects to where it don't really seem like we're missing a piece that we don't already have. And the whole offensive side, we know what we need to do. So we just got to put it together. That's all we can really say.
What about the connection with you, the receivers, and the quarterbacks? How do you see you guys working together in unison?
Oh, yeah, we've been gelling really good. Like, everybody's getting reps with every quarterback, with every receiver, so they're throwing the ball around. And a lot of us, we are finding the chemistry with all the quarterbacks, no matter who's playing the most, who's getting the most reps, or who's not. We're just finding chemistry throughout the team in general.
What's the best part of your game?
My game, I would specifically say just do it all. Whatever you need me to do, I'm going to go out there and do it, no question. No, I ain't going to think about it. I'm going to just try and get it done the best way I can.
Where do they play you in the slot or out wide?
They play me out wide.
Yeah.
At the Z position, yes, sir.
And, are you okay going across the middle? You like going across the middle?
I love going everywhere on the field, to be honest. It don't matter who in my way. I'd rather just get the ball in my hands.
And run over people?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Devontae, what is the mood on the team? You look at the schedule, it's pretty tough. You got the OVC guys mixed in, but you're opening up with the Citadel. Then you're playing Furman. You're playing Richmond. You guys have got 3 really good tests to open up the season.
Yeah, I think we're just excited. I think we look at these matchups and we understand that it's tough, but at the end of the day, it's about us. It's about what we bring to the table, and I feel like if we believe in the plan, and we'll get the job done.
What is it about Coach Gardenia, his enthusiasm and his approach, and you came here when he did, that is really attractive to you?
Like you said, enthusiasm, just bringing energy, bringing a new culture, just learning how to celebrate with each other, learning how to work, how to use each other in a way that I don't feel like we did in the past, but he just brings that energy and enthusiasm.
Noah, have you survived a Bloody Tuesday?
Oh, of course. Many of them. A lot of them.
What's a Bloody Tuesday like?
Just being physical. We emphasize physical brutality, and that means all aspects of the game. So wherever you at, running back, receiver, DB, D-line, in the trenches, you know what I'm saying? It's really just being physical to the point where you can still get back up and do your job.
Do you like seeing blood on a Bloody Tuesday?
I mean, nobody likes seeing blood in general, but hey, it's the game of football, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach used the phrase, Devontae, not offense, defense, but a we-fence.
Yes,
tell me what that means to you.
I think that's really just like celebrating each other. Like in fall camp, you're kind of competing against each other, but at the end of the day, like you guys just went to war, and now you're coming back to each other, and still it's that family mindset, and also just trusting each other. When the offense messes up, they come off the field, we tell them that we got them. Opposite for us, if we mess up, they come on the field, they're going to tell us that they got us.
How about for you, Noah?
Yeah, just like he said, it's just celebrating the accomplishments from both sides of the ball, really. Whenever a play happens, just like, for instance, if we in a practice and we get an interception on it, as a receiver, you're going to be upset that there was an interception on the play, but then in the back of your head, you thinking, okay, that means the defense going to go out there and make that play in game. So it's really just, just playing together and just making sure that we're good on all sides of the ball and that we don't got to have to worry about a certain side of the ball, and that we can all make plays when the game comes together, and then when we all got to, when it all matters, we just all going to make the plays. That's what I think it is.
We thank you guys for being with us.
Thank you.
Great job. Have a healthy season, good season. We'll be watching closely.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys coming out.
Yes, sir.
All right, there you go. From here at Charleston Southern, we'll be back after this break.
Now on Sports Talk, it's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to take your questions about the great outdoors in South Carolina. Give him a call at 888-898-2525. It's SC Wild from DNR on the Sports Talk Radio Network.
It's so good to have Major Billy Downer with us here on this Wednesday night as we come to you from Charleston Southern. But tomorrow night on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour, we will be visiting the Major's alma mater of the Citadel, El Cid, where he spent many a day, many an hour learning how to be a Citadel cadet, which, of course, has served him well with the Department of Natural Resources, and tonight he's out in Texas. Before we talk about that, Major, great to have you with us tonight. When I visit the Citadel tomorrow, what should I be looking for that you recall with great fondness?
Oh, well, let's see. The list is short. I'm just kidding. Second Battalion, of course, is always my favorite. Second Battalion Tower, even though it's been rebuilt. That to me, and of course, Summerall Chapel are two places to me that stick out. At the Citadel, always will. The ring on the way in is always fun now they've done that, but that wasn't there when I was there. So Second Battalion Tower has kind of always been that staple. That's the big tower where in the barracks, Paget Thomas Barracks, in the middle of the parade field. You look back there, you see that tower, and then also Summerall Chapel. But the main news tonight is we are not live from Charleston Southern. We are live from the Texas Game Warden Training Center in the middle of the great state of Texas.
What have we learned out there so far?
That everything is truly bigger in Texas.
Yeah, no question.
No, we're meeting with basically conservation agencies from across the nation, law enforcement, talking about training, equipment, and ways that we can improve in each area of those areas, kind of comparing what each division is doing across the country and what we can help each other with and learn from. So it's been a good 2 days. Got one more day tomorrow and then heading back home, but it's been a good time out here in Texas. It is a beautiful facility here. I don't know how many 100 acres they have on this campus. It's very nice. So it's been great to be here and be their guest for this week.
How many folks from South Carolina are out there?
Me. That's it.
Just you?
Just me. Basically one from each state. So it's me.
And
they got me.
What are a couple of the most important things that you will take away from your time out there?
Well, it's going to be training initiatives, how other agencies are training, the things that they're doing, some of their advanced training they're doing for officers that have been on for a good while. They have a ride-along program that in Texas here it's doing really well, but we have an interest in trying to start back. It's something I did when I was at Citadel, as you mentioned, that we'd like to start back as well. It gives people gives a person that's interested in having a job at DNR or being an officer a look at what we really do, so there's no surprises when they come in the door.
Yeah.
Because what we're finding as agencies across the country is people think they know what DNR jobs are like, but they have no idea. They don't realize a lot of times that we carry a gun. They don't realize that we're actually a part of public safety and our law enforcement. So it avoids the shock factor, so to speak, so people actually know what you do.
Sure. Well, I know you wanted to dive back into the topic of a couple of weeks ago, deer tags, and we have another major hunting season upon us in South Carolina.
That's correct. So we are, it's 21st of August. We are literally, about a week and 3 days away from the start of dove season. I've heard a lot of rumblings across the state. People have asked me this question over and over again. So it's worth explaining tonight to make sure all of our dove hunters understand what dove season will be like this year. There is a difference. It's not a bad difference. It's actually a good difference, but it is different. So first, this is one of those seasons where Saturday is not in September. So because of that, the dove season will open on Labor Day, which is September the 2nd this year. The season will run from 1/2 hour before sunrise until sunset each day. That is different from the years past. There's a second difference there, is the season opens up 1/2 hour before sunrise. There is no longer a prohibition those first couple of days of you have to wait till after 12 o'clock. So you can start 1/2 hour before sunrise till sunset. So you can have a morning shoot this year on Labor Day. Now, most people probably aren't, because Labor Day is one of those traditional dove hunts where folks like to come in and have lunch and then go out in the field. So there's nothing wrong with that, nothing illegal about that. If you wanted to go have a dove hunt and have breakfast afterwards, you could do that this year as well. The limit is 15, as it has been for the last couple of years. So the limit is 15. That doesn't, again, there's a lot of clubs out there that are choosing to keep to a 12-bird limit, but the statewide limit is 15 doves. Now, because it opens up in the morning, it's worth mentioning, you cannot go hunt in the morning and shoot 15 and go in the afternoon and shoot 15. It's 15 daily. So you can't double dip. So if you hunt in the morning and you're going to try to hunt in the afternoon, make sure all you can shoot is 15 birds. So if you go hunt in the morning, you shoot 7 birds, you can go shoot your remaining 8 in the afternoon. But if you shoot 15 in the morning, you're done for the day.
Is it hard to get to 15?
It's not. If you're on a good field, it's not. And with, I'm going to say my prediction is that cornfields are not going to be as big a deal this year because the corn crop is terrible for the most part across the state. Now, that's not always true everywhere. But there's a lot of cornfields that are lacking corn. Usually we see as cornfields are getting cut this time of year, birds are moving around, getting spread out. If you've got a sunflower field, it's a good place to be. So one more thing to mention for folks who like to hunt our public fields, because the season is opening up on Labor Day, which is Monday, the first day you can shoot a public dove field is the following Saturday. So that's important to note. So dove fields, most of our public dove fields will not be open until Saturday, September the 7th. That's when most of your public dove fields will open. So there won't be any fields open on the 2nd for sure on Monday. So that's just a big change. People need to be cognizant of that, understand that. And what do you need to dove hunt? Remember, you've got to have your basic hunting license. You've got to have your migratory, your HIP, Harvest Information Program, migratory bird permit, which is free in South Carolina. That's not your migratory waterfowl permit. That's your migratory bird. It's free. It's the one you ask. You answer the questions. How many doves did you shoot last year? How many geese did you shoot last year? Did you shoot any coots, crows, et cetera? So that's the one you have to answer that question from last year. But that's the Harvest Information Program. It's a free permit. But if you have a lifetime license, you're still required to fill out a Harvest Information Program question and get that permit added to your license. Even though it's free, you still got to do that. If you have a lifetime license, you've got to get that HIP permit every year. So that's something folks oftentimes forget. They have a lifetime license. They know they don't have to get a license, but they have to get that HIP permit. And you can go online, again, to, Go Outdoors SC, to your app on your phone, on a Google, on Android or iPhone. Go Outdoors SC, load the app on your phone. A couple of quick information bits, the last 4 of your social or your driver's license number, your last name, and your date of birth, and it will load you right in there. And all your licenses will be loaded on your phone, which is kind of neat because now your license can be displayed on your phone. If an officer asks to see your license and you have the app, you can simply show them your phone. It shows them your license, and all of your things can be on there. Also, this year, as we talked about that, and that's dove hunting. Remember, the biggest concern before I move on with dove hunting is know where you're hunting. We talk about that every year, but I want to remind folks again, know the place you're going hunting. It is your responsibility when you walk out in that field to make sure the field is legal. Make sure it's not baited. When you're walking out in the field, pay attention. But if you know the people you're hunting with, you don't have to worry about that. But a lot of people sometimes get caught in fields. They didn't understand that it was baited because they weren't paying attention when they walked out in the field. They may have walked right through some wheat or cracked corn that was added to the field before they got there. So again, remember, as far as what you can do to a dove field, for those that are trying to prepare their dove fields and get ready for next weekend, for next Labor Day, for Labor Day Monday, you can do anything to a crop as long as you don't add to it. If that crop was grown in the field, you can mow it, chop it, till it, rake it, burn it, whatever you want to. But you can't take it out of the field and then bring it back in the field. It has to stay in the field. You can cut it down, chop it, till it, mow it, rake it, burn it, whatever you want, but you just can't add to the field or remove it from the field, turn around and put it back in the field.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the quick things. And remember, wheat doesn't start till October 1st. So we do have the allowing of wheat now can be spread on a dove field per the agricultural practices that's allowed by Clemson University, and that's up to 150, 200 pounds of wheat per acre, and that's evenly spread over a freshly tilled soil that ensures soil-to-seed contact. But again, that cannot be done until October 1st. So no wheat until October 1st, unless you're hunting over a planted wheat field that's been burned, cut, whatever. You can do that, of course. But you can't add wheat to a field until October 1st. So that kind of wraps up dove season. I wish everybody luck. As dove season opens up, we'll give some reports of how that looks during our next show. But as we're talking about the Go Outdoors SC app, really want to remind folks what we talked about last week, the last show 2 weeks ago, because a lot of people are having questions about that. And basically, again, if you've got the Go Outdoors SC app on your phone, it makes everything easy. Your license is right there on your phone. Your deer tags are listed on your phone. Now, you have to have a set of paper tags as well in possession when you're hunting, and you have to tag your deer. If you take a deer, you have to tag the deer at the point of kill before you move it. But you also have to electronically report this year. Now, electronic reporting can be done several ways. We'll go through those real quick again. So as of July 2024, South Carolina hunters must electronically report deer they harvest by midnight the same day they kill the deer. Hunters can report their harvest using the Go Outdoors SC app, which is very easy, a website, text, or by phone. The Go Outdoors SC app, you go to your Go Outdoors feature, and I'm going to do it right now, so I'm walking you through it. You go to your Go Outdoors feature. When it loads up, you go to Game Check, and it says personal deer tags. And you can do that immediately when you get there. Doesn't take anything time to do that, but you have personal deer tags, or there's a selection there for DQP, Deer Quota Program tags. That's properties where you have a central landowner that gets tags. Used to be a doe quota program, now it's a deer quota program, and you can report those tags as well on your phone. If you're not the owner of the land where the tags are, or the club owner or the club president, you still have the ability to report through the Go Outdoors SC app. You simply put on there the doe quota program. You select that instead of personal tags, doe quota program tags, and then it's going to ask you a couple extra questions. What's the property name? Or it's going to ask you for the number of the property. And your tags have that number on them. It tells you what that property number is. And then it's going to ask you, like it does on the Go Outdoors on personal tags, it's going to ask you for, if it's a buck, how many antlers, points. It's going to ask you the date of the kill, county of kill. It's not going to ask you to tell you what stand you went on. It's not going to ask you exactly what club you're on. And if you are reporting for a DQP, that property number does not go into any public list. So there's not any public list out there that's going to say, well, Billy Bob's Hunting Club killed 45 deer so far already. That's not there. But there is a really cool app that you can go on through the digital backpack, and you can look at where deer have been taken the year so far, which is really cool. A lot of people enjoy that with the turkey app, but the same thing with deer. But besides the Go Outdoors SC app, you can go on the website. You can go to GoOutdoorsSouthCarolina.com and enter your harvest information there. You can text HARVEST, HARVEST, to a number that's provided online. You can go online and look at that. But it's 1-833-472-4263 and follow the prompts. I don't expect folks to remember that on the radio here, but if you go to Google and Google SCDNR Deer Reporting 2024, it gives you all of these options at the very top of the page. You can also call in. Again, that number, 1-833-4SC-GAME. That's 472-4263. Call that number, and you can answer the prompts as they come up to you on the phone. So there's a variety of ways to report your deer take this year. Remember, you have to have paper tags in possession when you hunt deer, as always, and they have to be tagged at the point of kill before they're removed. And that's done through the back of the leg, as always. But in addition, you need to report your deer digitally to the Go Outdoors SC app. It's probably the easiest way. And that's really what, if people ask, last show, and Jay explained it, Jay Cantrell did, but I don't want to mention it again because it's worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
People always ask, how many deer do we take? And most of the time it's been a guesstimate based on surveys that are sent out. This electronic reporting will give us accurate information about our deer take every year and will help us in the future to make better decisions to manage our deer herd. So it's important that we support the Go Outdoors SC app and electronic reporting because it's going to help us in the future, help our department manage the deer herd for years to come. So I'm not afraid of it. I welcome it. I think it's going to be a lot easier for us. Eventually in the future, maybe we'll be able to just electronically tag. We'll see, and not have paper tags anymore. But right now, we still got a paper tag, and you've got electronic reporting as well, just like turkey tags this past year. So this is the first deer season with this. A little bit of angst out there with folks. It's something new. It's really not that hard. You can report on your phone in little as 30 seconds to 45 seconds. Promise you it's less than a minute to report everything. So it's very, very easy if you got your phone and got the Go Outdoors SC app. Also, remember, if you need to renew your license, all you got to do is load that Go Outdoors SC app on your phone. If you have it on your phone, you can renew your license right there on your phone, wherever you are, your den, kitchen, out in the woods, wherever. You can renew your license right there. No need to go to a licensed vendor any longer. So it's very convenient, very easy. Or your waterfowl stamps, everything right there. Duck stamps, state duck stamp, federal duck stamp, all on your phone. Very easy. Again, Go Outdoors SC.
All right, hang on, Major. While you're out there in Texas, not all that far from you, we have a caller from Missouri listening to us on the web, on our stream. It's Bruce out in Missouri. He has a question for you. So, Bruce, welcome in to Sports Talk and SC Wild, Major Billy Downer. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine, and I claim to be an old Abbevillean from Abbeville, South Carolina.
Yes, you do.
I'm 71 years old, and you're giving all this information out, and it's like overwhelming of information that the hunter needs to abide by without getting taken to jail or whatever your event is about. I don't know. But what I'm saying to you is, or trying to get across to you is, now I changed my status from a United States citizen to a national, and I sent an affidavit to the Secretary of State of the United States of America, who issues passports. And being a national, I have the old rights to hunt or or travel on the highways. The old laws. I would, if I went out hunting, and I have that affidavit with me that the Secretary of State was sent to, and he didn't basically oppose it. He accepted it. After 30 days, an affidavit it becomes the law of whatever you're doing. I'm just trying to ask you, if I went out hunting in, let's say, South Carolina, back home, and I had no license or anything like that, what you're talking about, what would happen to me if you came up to me and asked me, where's your license to hunt, or this, that, and the other? You have all the classifications that you brought into.
So let me answer that question. I know where you're asking, where you go on that. So, Phil,
okay.
Let's answer that question. So the answer to the question is very simple. If you hunt in South Carolina, out-of-state resident, in-state residents, your residency is what's going to require what kind of license you have to have. You have to have a license to hunt in South Carolina. We all do. Even if we're hunting in our backyard, because the deer, wildlife, are property of the state. That's the way we've always handled that, and that's protect game for everybody, not just one person. So one person doesn't own the game, we all do. and the state is the keeper of that. So the license is the way we do that. So you enforce that with a license. You're required to have a license. Whether you're a resident of South Carolina, non-resident, you still have to have a license. You have to have deer tags, as the law is, to have tags to shoot a deer. You have to have tags. Those tags, again, are additional fees for out-of-state residents, in-state residents. Get a free set of tags with their big game permit. Out-of-state's a little bit different. If you're an out-of-state resident, if you've moved away and you're no longer a resident of South Carolina, then you still have to get tags based on your residency. But you would have to have those with you. If you did not have those with you and you were hunting in South Carolina and an officer came up to you, then you would be subject to a fine or a summons ticket, basically, for being in violation of South Carolina law. And that's basically the answer to that. Anybody that hunts in this state, again, whether in your backyard, private property, or state property, you've got to have a hunting license. If you're on WMA land, of course, you've got to have a WMA permit for hunting public land, as we all do. But those are the rules, and that's how we enforce it. As far as your residency, that would be just determined by, do you still have a driver? And people ask that all the time. What is my residency? How do I know that? Your residency is determined by where your driver's license is. Driver's license in South Carolina, then you're a resident of South Carolina. There are other things that can determine that as well. But if you're living in Missouri and you have a driver's license in Missouri, you're probably a resident of Missouri now, which means you're not a resident of South Carolina. For those that grew up in South Carolina and there is one caveat to that. If you were born in South Carolina and before you left here, you bought a lifetime license, you have a lifetime license for life when you come back. And you're treated as a resident, which is kind of cool, which is why I bought a lifetime license for my son, my children. That is one of the things they enjoy, is having that lifetime license. But it's a good question. A lot of people don't understand the rules, but it doesn't matter. Again, where you're hunting, where you're from, you've still got to have a license to hunt deer in the state and a big game permit. If you do not, then you're subject to a fine.
Bruce, thank you very much for the phone call. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Yep.
All right, so we got about a minute. Boy, I tell you what, we got a heck of a weekend, Labor Day weekend, coming up in South Carolina with football and the race at Darlington and deer season and dove season. There's a lot to choose from.
That's right. Coming up again. Yep, exactly. Coming up in just a little over a week, we're going to have a big weekend. So Labor Day weekend will be a big one. Deer season, again, opens up for the other majority of the state in Game Zone 4 on September 1st, and that's bucks only through September 15th. So that's going to be another large portion of the state, basically the entire coastal plain, and part of the sandhills will be open from September 1st. So I know a lot of people are hunting now. I don't know how they do it as hot as it is, but it will be coming up very soon for the rest of us in the state. And then, of course, we get to Game Zone 2 and Game Zone 1 later on in October and November.
Well, we look forward to it. How much longer are you in Texas?
For another day or two, then I'm headed back home.
Well, safe travels. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Have a great Labor Day weekend and happy hunting out there for you as well.
Thanks, Phil. Have a good day.
Thank you, Major. Major Billy Downer, Department of Natural Resources, out in Texas, but with us here on Sports Talk. Always great stuff from him, talking about the great outdoors in South Carolina. Always good to have him with us. Thanks to the folks here at Charleston Southern, coach and players, and Michael Causey, Sports Information Director. Thank you for a great job. We'll see you tomorrow night from the Citadel. Have a good one.